Have you ever experienced an unexplainable unease, almost if an invisible shadow was sapping your energy? Have you seen that something inside you shifts, and an unexpected emotional load floods you shortly after you share good news or fulfill a dream? This is intentional. One of the most harmful negative energy is envy. We don't see it, but we feel it like an unseen wind, sapping our spiritual and emotional vitality without us knowing what exactly is going on. The most risky aspect is that its consequences can mask themselves as worry, weariness, or misfortune. Padre Pio could see what many missed, the horrible stain jealousy left on the soul. Using his stigmata and mystical skills, he spotted tiny patterns in those suffering under this harmful force. He could see the decreased aura, the reduced vitality, and the mental unpredictability others' envy created in his pupils. Over his ministry, he found 3 clear indicators that show when someone is being strongly envied. The most surprising aspect is that we often ascribe these indicators to other reasons, even if they show up in our everyday life. Have you ever questioned why, all of a sudden, you sense a mysterious anxiety? What causes your loss of drive for tasks formerly brimming with passion? Or why, for no obvious cause, do you question choices you once understood? It might not be a coincidence, but rather the result of the envy others put upon you. Today we are going to explore this spiritual knowledge Padre Pio imparted to his closest disciples. The 3 indicators that show you are a victim of intense jealousy will be shown to you. More significantly, you will discover the strong prayers and rituals Padre Pio himself taught to build an unbreakable spiritual barrier. Imagine being able to pinpoint precisely when outside negative energy causes your struggles. Imagine restoring your inner peace and mental clarity by using the spiritual tools to properly defend oneself. In Padre Pio's words, prayer is the best defense against the darts of envy. Pay close attention. The 3rd sign is so subtle most people miss it. But finding it will help you to know many things in your life. Should you believe that unexplainable obstacles always block your way, this message may have the solution you seek. Should you realize that this information arrived to you at the appropriate time, please comment, Padre Pio, dispel the fog of envy that surrounds me. As we uncover these exposing signals together, this straightforward act will set an intention of protection. According to Padre Pio's teachings, envy is not just a bad feeling. On the spiritual level, it is an invading power, trying to upset people advancing on their journey. Projected from the heart of the jealous toward the light of the fortunate, it is an energy, darkness. Padre Pio called jealousy invisible arrows that pierce our spiritual shield when we are not adequately protected. Though they may not be physical wounds, these arrows create emotional, mental, and spiritual imbalances that show up as actual symptoms in our everyday life. What precisely is the operation of this spiritual mechanism? When someone sends us thoughts of envy, they release bad vibrations that disrupt our energy field. Should our spiritual shield be compromised by, say, neglecting our prayer life, these forces could enter and start to show as the 3 indicators we shall shortly disclose. Padre Pio said that jealousy is especially strong when it comes from persons close to us or those who act as if they have our best interests at heart. Desire masquerading as friendship, he said, is the most hazardous since it compromises our inherent defenses. Envy masquerading as friendship, he claimed, is the most harmful as it compromises our inherent defenses. Many times, we feel bad after sharing good news with particular individuals since we lack knowledge of the cause. Often, we feel awful after telling certain individuals good news as we don't know why. Most troubling is that many individuals experience the consequences of jealousy without properly naming the source. They look for answers in drugs, environmental modifications, or therapies that, while helpful, do not tackle the spiritual core of the issue. It's like trying to fix a leaky roof without first finding the main crack. It's like trying to fix a leaky roof without first locating the primary crack. Let me tell you about Lucia, a Padre Pio follower who went through an extraordinary change. Lucia had endured unexplainable sleeplessness and worry for months. She saw psychiatrists and physicians. None of them offered her long-term comfort. One day, during a visit to a tiny spiritual sanctuary, Padre Pio said to her, "Daughter, it is not your body that is sick, but your spiritual shield that is being attacked by the envy of those who do not accept your recent job promotion." Within weeks, Lucia found her inner calm again, following the protective rituals he taught her. Understanding how envy works on the spiritual level helps us to investigate the first telling indicator, that strange uneasiness people mistake for health issues or stress, but which has far deeper origins. Inexplicable worry is the first telltale indicator Padre Pio found in those suffering from intense jealousy. This is not the usual anxiousness we all feel under trying circumstances. It is a deeper and more disturbing feeling that seems to come without cause and lasts even when all in our lives seems to be in order. How does it show precisely? Imagine your heart racing as you wake up in the middle of the night, no nightmare having caused it, or experiencing a tightness in your chest throughout daily tasks, as though a hand. This feeling could get stronger, particularly at night, when our spirit's natural defenses drop, or when you share joyful news with particular individuals. Father Pio had an exceptional gift for spotting this kind of worry in his followers. Often, he would stop someone in the confessional to inquire, "Since when have you felt that weight on your chest preventing you from sleeping?" The penitents were surprised, having not noted this sign. The father said that jealousy energies aimed against the individual caused this uneasiness, which he likened to a dark haze enveloping them. The important distinction between typical anxiety and that brought on by envy is its persistent and irrational character. It does not go away when conditions change, nor does it completely react to traditional relaxation strategies. Furthermore, it is usually coupled with a sense of being always observed or evaluated. Having accompanied Padre Pio followers, I have come across several instances like Hector's, a prosperous businessman who started to suffer unexplainable panic attacks immediately following the launch of his second company. The doctors found no physical reason. The anxiolytics just provided transient respite. What was interesting was that these incidents got worse, especially following meetings with particular co-workers who, it seemed, praised him for his achievement. Hector found the origin of these bad energy and was able to recover his emotional equilibrium following Padre Pio's teachings on spiritual protection. Father Pio said that envy-related worry first resides in our solar plexus, the region between the stomach and chest the ancients thought was the core of our emotions. From there, it starts to spread, changing our brain clarity, digestion, and sleep. It's as though a spiritual fog starts to cover us, so hindering our ability to interact with the divine. The saint's suggested remedy starts with a particular protective prayer. He suggested nightly Psalm 91 prayers before bed, picturing a golden glow sealing our energy field. Padre Pio explained this. Psalm has been in use for centuries as a spiritual shield against bad energies, explained Padre Pio. This psalm has been in use for ages as a spiritual protection against bad energy. His statements set off heavenly protection over our existence. Apart from this prayer, he suggested a straightforward ceremony, while saying 3 times, "Blood and wounds of Christ, protect me from all envy and restore my inner peace." Put the right hand on the chest. Padre Pio claimed this prayer creates a direct connection with supernatural protection, particularly strong against uneasiness brought on by jealousy. One must realize that this unexplainable worry is usually the first indication, the first fissure through which bad energies start to enter our life. Correct identification lets us act before it shows. More serious symptoms like the second indicator we shall investigate next. Should you have felt this anxiety without a clear reason, particularly following personal successes or times of joy, you are probably seeing the consequences of envy. It's no coincidence that you feel this discomfort. It's your spirit alerting you to negative influences trying to destabilize you. Particular times that Padre Pio precisely defined heighten this envy-related distress. His teachings say we are more susceptible during times of change or development, after a work promotion, when launching a new company, during a hopeful courtship, or following a major medical or spiritual cure. Father Pio said, "The envy of others is like water, seeking the cracks in our spiritual protection. Neglect of our inner life, pride's infiltration of our accomplishments, and hasty sharing of our gifts with those not vibrating on the same spiritual frequency as us all cause these fissures to open." Padre Pio referred to a method he taught to convert this worry into inner serenity as the spiritual thermometer. It means pausing every night to evaluate our degree of inner serenity on a scale from 1 to 10. We are seeing the effect of jealous energies if we find that this level has dropped noticeably without clear cause, particularly after engaging with particular individuals. His suggested straightforward yet strong practical practice to determine the source of this concern is: close your eyes, sit quietly, and question yourself. When precisely did this sensation of unease start? After telling what news or with which individuals? Usually your spiritual intuition will provide the solution, pointing out particular circumstances or people connected to the beginning of these symptoms. Father Pio once remarked, "The envy of others cannot harm one who is clothed in prayer like a suit of armor." Though we cannot change the emotions of others, this strong message encourages us to enhance our spiritual protection so that those energies slide off rather than invading our existence. Now, let me lead you in a quick meditation. Have you seen how this strange worry shows up exactly when you are ready to make a significant life change? How it appears to get stronger when you tell particular individuals about your happiness? This is not a coincidence. The adversary of our peace uses others' jealousy as a weapon to destabilize us just when we are making progress on our road. You will see how this worry starts to fade as you say the protection prayers and use the spiritual discernment I have given you. The veil slowly clears to let you see clearly the feelings but if jealousy continues and is not addressed spiritually, it will develop into the second sign, deeper and more unsettling, the unexplainable wish to forsake all you have labored for. Particularly concerning is this second indication, as it could force you to forfeit the benefits God has set on your path, so blurring spiritual assaults with your own choices. Many followers have questioned me about how to go deeper into Padre Pio's teachings as we investigate these spiritual realities in order to properly safeguard themselves. That's why I wish to share with you something unique. I have gathered the most potent prayers and techniques Padre Pio imparted to his closest disciples. Prepare to learn how to spot this second indicator and the strong spiritual instruments Padre Pio left us to use against it. The second telling indicator that Padre Pio saw in those strongly envied is the sudden and powerful urge to forsake enterprises, relationships, or locations formerly deeply cherished. This desire comes as an invading thought. I should leave everything and start anew somewhere else. Or maybe this path isn't for me after all. Unlike a natural shift of interests or a sincere contemplation on the path of life, this wish has unique qualities. It comes suddenly, conflicts with long-term values and interests, and is marked by an unreasonable hurry. Father Pio called it a fog that clouds spiritual discernment, causing us to confuse external attacks with our own decisions. Spiritually, the system is obvious. Other people's envy wants to disrupt your divine mission, guiding you off the road where you are meant to prosper. When someone sends envious energy your way, they are trying to cast doubt on your project, your relationship, or your calling, since that is where you can shine the greatest. When thoughts of leaving his community came to Father Pio at the most successful times of his career, he experienced the same spiritual assault. He saw these thoughts as outside interferences, not as his genuine volition. While instigations, divine inspirations offer peace, he said. From jealousy, they produce restlessness and a desire to flee. This wish to go away is especially misleading as it masquerades as new inspiration or a need for change. Padre Pio, on the other hand, taught us to separate it using a strong picture. True divine inspirations are like an anchored ship that moves with the waves but remains faithful to its course. Padre Pio suggested a spiritual discernment practice to fight this second sign. When you feel that impulse to abandon everything, sit down in prayer and ask yourself, does this desire bring lasting peace or agitation? Did it come up after I told someone about my successes? Does it conflict with prior promises made during times of spiritual clarity? What he termed the spiritual anchor ritual was the pragmatic answer he provided. Place both hands over your heart while slowly reciting, Jesus, I trust in you as a firm anchor in the storm. Fix my spirit in your divine will. Imagine then roots from your feet into the earth, fastening you fast where God has planted you. When confronted with this sign, Father Pio underlined the need of tenacity. To stay where God has placed you, particularly when unseen forces attempt to displace you, is an act of heroic faith. He said that this spiritual struggle increases your defensive barrier and finally makes bad energy rebound back to their source. Recommended at these times was a particular prayer, by the wounds of Christ and the intercession of Saint Michael the Archangel, may my purpose remain steadfast against all interference. May I clearly distinguish between your voice, my Lord, and the forces trying to lead me off course. Especially around morning, when our spirit is most open, this petition should be repeated daily. Should you have lately felt that strange urge to leave a meaningful project, a cherished relationship, or a location where you have found purpose, you are most likely experiencing this second sign of envy. Don't make drastic decisions in this state. First, strengthen your spiritual protection and regain the clarity that envy tries to cloud. Padre Pio's precisely identified envy-driven desire to flee shows in clear patterns. The impacted individual starts to undervalue recent successes, notices flaws where they formerly saw blessings, and feels unending restlessness that robs them of present enjoyment. Father Pio observed that this symptom gets stronger, especially after obtaining public attention, work promotions, or seeming blessings. Our development seems to draw jealous eyes more strongly the more visible it becomes. Many individuals feel this need to give up everything exactly when they are enjoying the benefits of their labor for this reason. In daily life, this sign shows itself in ideas like, I should sell the business I just started, or maybe I should finish this, a relationship that seemed so promising, or I need to relocate far away even though I don't have a good reason. What is revealing is that these ideas directly oppose plans and decisions made with peace and clarity before. Padre Pio advocated a strong visualizing tool to help you resist this impact. Imagine your project, relationship, or location as a tree you have planted with commitment. Imagine how its trunk gets stronger, how its roots sink into the ground, and how its branches reach for the heavens. Then, picture a barrier of golden light totally around this tree, so shielding it from all bad effects. Padre Pio suggested some important questions to help you determine whether you actually need to alter or if envy is affecting you. Does this desire for change bring me inner peace or agitation? Has it developed with time and prayer, or did the concept come suddenly? Have I lately told those who could be jealous of my successes? Does this choice respect past commitments made at times of spiritual clarity? Eduardo's narrative exactly captures this indication. Though it had been his calling since childhood, he started to feel an unexplained need to quit medicine after successfully starting his clinic. These ideas came immediately after a colleague visited his new center. Eduardo saw this drive as an outside effect using Padre Pio's lessons. He increased his spiritual protection and regained insight. He still works at his profession today with fresh drive. Should you have ignored this second indication, a far more subtle and insidious test is ahead. The unrelenting doubts seeking to erode your will and self-assurance. Padre Pio's teachings hold that continual paralyzing doubt is the third and most deep indicator of strong envy victimization. This indicator is especially sneaky since it immediately undermines your inner confidence and spiritual awareness. We are not discussing here about typical doubts everyone sometimes has. Doubts driven by jealousy have unique qualities. They are consistent, illogical, and mutually contradictory. For instance, you can question whether you're doing too much or too little in a certain scenario, without identifying a point of balance that meets your needs. Father Pio said that envy clouds our perception like a thick fog on our intellect. The envy of others, he added, first tries to cloud your mind so that you cannot distinguish the voice of God from outside interferences. This mental fog shows itself as a never-ending internal doubt that saps spiritual energy and stops action. These doubts' most defining feature is their prominence in places where we once had assurance and clarity. The one who had previously relied on their gut feeling starts to doubt it all the time. Whoever has a defined calling now starts to doubt whether they are actually on the correct road. Decisions you formerly made with confidence now send you into never-ending internal debates. Padre Pio said on the spiritual plane that these doubts are like invasive seeds planted in our mental garden by envious energies. They become thorny shrubs blocking the divine light and our ability to discern if we let them sprout. Padre Pio utilized the metaphor of the mental garden to show this idea. Your mind is like a sacred garden where God plants inspirations, intuitions, and certainties. In this garden, envy plants doubts hoping you would mix them with your own ideas. The skill of identifying which plants belong in your garden and which are invasive is spiritual discernment. How can one tell the difference between healthy inquiry and envy-related doubts. Father Pio said, "Healthy doubts lead us to greater understanding and eventually to peace, while doubts born from envy generate increasing confusion, anxiety, and spiritual paralysis." His advice for this third sign was what he termed the novena of trust and clarity. For 9 straight days, preferably at dawn, one should chant with great conviction, "Lord, I trust you totally. Dispel every confusion not from you. Illuminate my thoughts. Enlighten my inner perception." This ongoing act of trust builds what Padre Pio termed the muscle of faith, the capacity to remain strong even when we do not see clearly. He also suggested a straightforward but strong exercise. Whenever a paralyzing doubt assails you, draw an invisible small cross on your forehead while internally saying, "Clear mind, firm heart, protected spirit." This symbolic act turns off the flow of intrusive ideas like a spiritual switch. Often the most difficult to identify is this third indication of jealousy, as it impairs our capacity to tell. Many people so link their unexpected uncertainty or mental difficulty with exhaustion or even doubt of their own mental competence, not linking it with our outside spiritual forces. Should you have recently experienced an avalanche of doubts in areas where you before had clarity, particularly after discussing goals or ambitions with others, it is quite probable that you are seeing this third indication of envy. Padre Pio left us particular strategies that immediately counter this expression of envy to help us regain mental clarity under the onslaught of these unrelenting doubts. The most efficient is what he termed the exercise of the 3 truths. Every morning, before beginning your activities, write down 3 fundamental truths about yourself, your purpose, or your present circumstance on a sheet of paper. They can be as easy as, "I have the ability required for this task. God has reinforced this calling through several indicators," or "This relationship brings good fruits to my life." Keep this paper with you and read it out loud, confirming these essential facts that envy seeks to obscure whenever doubts seek to invade. Father Pio particularly recommended those experiencing this kind of spiritual assault to briefly reduce their discussions about significant initiatives or future intentions. When the mind is under siege, he said, we must protect our inspirations as one protects a flame from the wind until it burns brightly on its own again. This does not imply loneliness, but rather being sensible about with whom we share our dreams as we recover mental clarity. The lighthouse in the fog was a visual image Padre Pio used to assist people with mental disorientation brought on by envy. He told us to see our faith as a strong lighthouse whose light cuts through even the thickest fog. Doubts can surround your mind like fog surrounds a lighthouse there, he remarked, but they cannot extinguish its light if you keep the flame of faith and trust in God alive. Recorded when he remarked, "Faith is not the absence of doubts, but the decision to keep moving forward despite them." One of Padre Pio's most deep insights on this subject. This point of view lets us go on our way, even while we try to clear the misunderstanding, as it frees us from the immobility envy seeks to cause. He advised daily repetition to enhance this spiritual resilience. "Though I don't see the whole road, I trust the one who does. Any doubt planted in my head cannot shake my faith in God." You are now prepared to study the integrated defense system Padre Pio created to build a whole spiritual shield, given your knowledge of how to recognize and combat the 3 primary indicators of envy: unexplainable anxiety, the need to run, and unrelenting doubts. The 3 indicators of envy we have studied do not function alone. Father Pio said they are part of a methodical assault on our spiritual stability. So he created a comprehensive protective approach that concurrently tackles the 3 fronts: emotional, volitional, and intellectual. Applied consistently, this defense technique produces what Padre Pio termed a 3-dimensional shield against envy by combining certain prayers, images, and daily actions. Its efficacy depends on exactly that. It targets the 3 areas where envy seeks to penetrate. The whole approach is set up as follows. First thing in the morning, we have to set our emotional defense against unknown worry. Right palm over heart, we say, "By the blood of Christ and the intercession of Padre Pio, I seal my emotional field against all negative influence. Today, my feelings are ruled by divine peace." This prayer sets a filter separating our genuine feelings from those caused by energy. This line sets a filter separating our genuine feelings from those caused by energy. Externally, we strengthened our volitional defense against the urge to run at lunchtime. With both hands in a prayer posture, we say, I affirm my dedication to the divine goal for my life. The wounds of Padre Pio keep my choices unshakable against all outside influence. Wherever God has placed me, I shall thrive. This remark bolsters our resolve against the urges of desertion envy seeks to create. Before retiring to bed, we finish the shield with intellectual defense against unrelenting uncertainties. Drawing a little cross on our forehead, we say, the divine light dispels all confusion from my mind, my trust unshakable, and my judgment still sharp. Through the intercession of Padre Pio, I see and reject any uncertainty not originating from God. This technique clears our mind of intrusive ideas during sleep, when we are most sensitive. Padre Pio called the visualization that goes with this total ceremony the golden crystal shield. We have to picture a golden-hued crystalline energy field totally surrounding ourselves. Though impermeable to the unpleasant vibrations of jealousy, this shield is clear and lets us communicate usually with the world. Father Pio guaranteed that the regular use of this integrated system not only safeguards us, but also changes the negative energy aimed towards us. The envy that ricochets off a well-built spiritual shield, he said, goes back to its source changed into light and helps the spiritual recovery of the one who envied. Accompanying this approach is a strong promise of transformation. Following 21 days of regular use, most individuals report a significant restoration of their inner calm, mental clarity, and emotional stability. The energy of jealousy that once destroyed their well-being now find an unbreakable shield. Padre Pio's most useful legacy to fight envy is this complete system. Defending oneself is not enough. One must turn this assault into a chance to enhance our spiritual life and our relationship with the divine. Together, we have investigated Padre Pio's 3 telltale indicators in those under intense envy: the unexplainable chest-pressing worry, the sudden urge to forsake worthwhile endeavors, and the ongoing uncertainty clouding judgment. When we identify these indicators in time, they become our allies. They are like spiritual sirens warning us to enhance our defense. Father Pio maintained that acknowledging the assault is already the start of triumph. The wisdom the saint of your society has left us transforms time. His lessons on spiritual protection against jealousy are not only defensive strategies, but a road of inner development that lets us convert assaults into chances to deepen our faith. As Jesus himself taught in one of his most potent reflections, the arrows of envy, when recognized and faced with faith, transform into steps toward greater spiritual strength. God utilizes everything others send to drag you down to raise you up instead. I now encourage you to do a straightforward but deep act of faith. Put your palm over your heart and say internally, with the intercession of Padre Pio, my spirit remains protected, my mind clear, and my heart at peace. I see the signs, turn on my protection, and change all bad energy into blessing. You are not fighting this spiritual struggle alone. Daily practicing these lessons, thousands of Padre Pio followers worldwide create an unseen network of mutual support and protection. Your practice not only helps you, but also supports this spiritual community. Should these signs have spoken to you personally, should you have found jealousy attempting to upset some aspects of your life, please share your testimony. Not to condemn others who may have transmitted these energy, but rather to assist others see these signs in their own life. Comment: I have identified sign number, indicating which of the 3 you have experienced most intensely. This straightforward action will increase the network of spiritual protection Padre Pio set during his earthly life and assist others in similar circumstances. May the peace that beyond all comprehension keep your heart and mind. Padre Pio's knowledge may follow you daily. May his prayers shield you from all bad energy and envy.